Ecology is permanent economy. These are the principles that Sundarilal Bahuguna believed in. Sundarilal Bahuguna, a naturalist, eco-conservationist, along with other environmentalists like Chandi Prasad Bhatt, Govind Singh Rawat, Ghoon Singh Nyagi, the poet Ghanshyam Ratori, as well as many grassroots level female workers like Gaura Devi, Sudesha Devi, Bhagni Devi. These women, along with the environmentalists, they were together very much able to successfully conclude the Chipko movement, and government at the end of 5 years of this movement, government agreed and put a ban on commercial lumbering in Tehri region of Garwal in the western Himalaya. Hello friends, I am Dr. Antika, and in this video I am going to discuss about Chipko movement, which is along with many other movements, environmental movements, these in the syllabus of both SET as well as NET in the environment science section. So today I will be discussing about Chipko movement. Earlier, I've made a video um, uh, on the Bishnoi movement, and I will be making more such videos on these environmental movement. And you can get the link of those videos in the description. So let's begin this video of Chipko movement. So this movement, it started in the Tehri region of Garwal. We know that the Kumaun, this is the Tehri region. We know that the entire Uttarakhand is divided into two regions. This is the Garwal region, this is the Kumaun region, and the so this is Uttarakhand. So the Garhwal region, they have the hills of Garhwal. They had a forest, two type of forest, both temperate deciduous as well as tropical. Tropical in the lower reaches and deciduous coniferous in the higher reaches. So this Garhwal region is the uh, point from where this Chipko movement started. Especially it started, the first village to start it was Mandal. So this movement started in Mandal in the Tehri Garhwal region, and main objective of this was to check to control the commercial lumbering. We know that when a villager or a inhabitant of a forest uses the forest, they use it in a sustainable way, which means that he will use the natural resources of the forest in such a way that there will not be much depletion and nature will be preserved. But when we do lumbering or any such activity in a commercial scale, then it brings negative impact to the environment. And after the Indo-China border dispute was over in 1963, there was a infrastructural development in this region, as a result of which, as a result of development of roads, now it is very easy to reach the remotest forest, pristine forest. So after this Indo-China dispute was over, there were many commercial level contracts were given by the forest department to various companies, and lumbering was done on commercial scale. So as because the lumbering was done after independence, they were done in a commercial scale. So this lead to destabilization of the soil. When we do deforestation of a hilly region, say for example, we do deforestation in this hilly region, the forests, the trees are cut down. So the soil in these region, they get destabilized, and as a result of which there is landslides. When the soil is not stable, that will cause landslide. So large landslides are when large mass of soil, they tumble down from upstream region to the downstream region, and if there is a river, it can block that river, and the river will change course and cause flood. This is what happened in the 1970s flood that occurred in the Garwal region due to shifting of course of Alaknanda, where Alaknanda's course was actually blocked by a landslide. So we see that commercial deforestation on a very large scale can, number one, cause instability of the soil. That will in turn cause landslides. So this deforestation will cause instability in the soil as well as landslide, and if the landslide occur block any river, then it might cause flood, as it happened in 1970s. So the villagers, they were very much aware of the situation that will happen due to this massive deforestation. And in the Garwal region, Tehri Garwal region, most it happens, it is a rampant that the male population, the men folk, they leave the village and migrate to nearby places to get some semi-skilled work or very menial work, because there is not much of employment opportunity in the Garwal region. So the men folk, they migrate to the nearby area, and the women, they are of the house, they are left to shoulder the responsibility of running the household. So the women folk, they do some little bit of agriculture, they do some bit of horticulture. They collect the forest produce like honey, some medicinal plants, and this type of some wild fruits and even spices that are growing. So they do collect this forest produce in a very limited scale and do not cause much harm. But we know that during the British rule, that is, there two laws was passed. That is, one in 1878 and 1927. These two laws were passed by the Britishers. They limited the forest right of the indigenous people living in the forest. Their rights was totally taken away by these colonial era law, and these laws actually made the British king monarchy the sole owner of these lands. So these lands were they were taking advantage of these lands, and uh, massive scale deforestation was done during the British Raj. So already there was denudation of the hill slopes, there was degradation of the forest, and the inhabitants of the forest, they were well aware of the negative effect that this large scale denudation was causing, especially when the women folk of the village, they are left alone to do the agriculture, to run the family, and so in case of a flood, the women folk will be most affected. So this is the background of Chipko movement. It all of this started when Chandi Prasad Bhatt, who actually founded this Dasoli Gram Swaraj Sangh. This is a cooperative society that was set up by Chandi Prasad Bhatt, and he set up this cooperative society to provide some bit of employment. And this the Soli Gram Samaj Swaraj Sangh DGSS, they actually asked the government, they petitioned the government for chopping down just 10 trees from a particular hill slope, but they were denied, and the same land was given permission to a outsider company, an Allahabad-based company, Simon Corporation, who were given the permission to chop 300 trees from the same piece of land that Chandi Prasad Bhatt was denied. So naturally, as the Soli Swaraj Sangh, they were providing local employment, and so the local people, they were very infuriated because they were not given the only just 10 trees. They were not given the permission to chop down 10 trees, but a large scale chopping of the trees were done on the same piece of land by a foreign company. So they were very much upset about this movement, about this move of government. So when the lumbermen or the woodsmen, they came to chop down these 300 trees in that piece of land, the women folk, the grass root workers of the Mahila Mandal, they embraced, each of them embraced the trees, and this they continued till the lumbermen, they moved out. So they just embraced the trees, just like Amrita Devi Vishnoi did many years back. So they just embraced the trees, started singing the folk song about how Mother Nature, these forests are their Mother Nature and they should protect them. So basically, they were trying to teach some environmental uh, certain environmental, what to say, uh, conservation concept to these lumbermen. So lumbermen, ultimately they have to return back, and the government has to cancel this permit of that piece of land in Mandal. So this was the first incident that happened in Mandal village, and the lumberman and the as well as the lumbering company, that is, they were cancelled the contract in Mandal village. But in lieu of that, they were given lumbering contract in some nearby village. So this process of getting permission to chop down trees commercially, it continued when in one villager, the villagers were not able, they were totally against the chopping. So they were given permission. The government gave permission to do lumbering in the nearby village. So in this process, this continued till many a village, all the villagers, they they resisted the commercial lodging in the same way, that is embracing the tree and protecting the tree by just embracing them. So this continued, and after the first incident in Mandal village, Sundarilal Bahuguna, he came to know about this incident, and he was drawn to this cause because he is also a naturalist, environmental conservationist. He, along with his wife Bimla Devi, they were both social activists, and they were very much aware of the degraded condition of nature that is in this Garwal region. So they took up this cause, and they started mobilizing the crowd. Sundarilal Bahuguna as well as his wife, they started mobilizing the crowd, making the people understand the bad effects that will commercial lumbering will cause. And already the villagers, the local people, they are well aware. So they just needed a direction for this movement, which not only Sundarilal Bahuguna but many other environmentalists, like this environmentalist, like Chandi Prasad Bhatt. This one is Chandi Prasad Bhatt, and Sundarilal Bahuguna, and Ghansham Ratori. They provided direction to the movement. Ghansham Ratori, he is a poet who composed many folk songs during the Chipko movement and encouraged the women folk of various not only Mandal village but also the surrounding village to stick to their cause, just not to give up. So this one is Gaura Devi. She is Sudesha Devi and Bhagni Devi. So Gaura Devi, she spearheaded this Chipko movement that is embracing the tree and in order to protect it in Rainy village. She did it in Rainy village. Devi did it in Rampur forest. And Bhakni Devi, she is the most brave woman because she went against her husband, who actually gained the contract, gave the contract for the commercial felling of the trees. So she did it in Advani village. Advani village. So these are the folk. They do not have the formal education, but they understand nature well. Because these marginalized rural people, they um, they know that forest is they consider the forest as their mother, and they know that only by protecting this forest they will survive in the long run. So from the single village, that is this movement, it there are many other villages like Lata, Fata, and Dongri, Hemwal, Ghat. These all these villages, they did the same, that is embracing the tree, and so that the lumberman cannot chop the tree. So this movement created ripples, and all the surrounding villages in Garwal, where the similar type of contracts were given, the same type of movement happened during the next 5 years. So not only these women, they did the Chipko movement. I mean, they embraced the tree on the day the lumbermen came, but also these women, they organized other women in their village as well as the surrounding village. They organized marches to make the people, the village women folk, aware of the situation. And in fact, in many villages, the women of the villages, they went against the men of the village to save the trees in their locality. So, and Sundarilal Bahuguna, he fasted for almost 2 weeks, and he also did many long marches, foot marches, as well as this Mahila Mandal women also did long marches on foot to make people more aware, to garner mass support for this movement, which continued for almost 5 years. So it started in 1974 and continued for 5 years. So earlier we have seen that how Chipko movement it was able to drive the lumbermen away from the forest ground in the village of Mandal, in the village of Reni, Lata, Fata, Dongri. Now we see that the lumbermen, they are also trying new ways. They are trying to entice the men folk of the village with a promise of developmental activities like school in the village, metal roads to the village, and many other such developmental activities. So the men folk of the village, they were getting enticed, and so they gave permission, especially in case of this Advani village, as well as many other villages like Dongri and Advani. So in these villages, there was gender polarity in the Chipko movement. The men folk, they wanted developmental activity to happen in the village in lieu of the lumber they are giving. But the women, they knew better that by by listening to their demands of commercial lumbering, the environment, the forest will be degraded so much in the long run that their survival will be more difficult. So the women folk in these village of Dumri and Advani, they went against the men folk, and they did Chipko movement, that is embracing or clasping the trees, and they did it, and they were also been able to drive the lumbermen away from these villages, that is Advani and the Dumri. In Advani village, Dhum Singh Negi, this guy, he was able to spearhead this movement in Advani village. The woman folk, especially Bhagni Devi, she went against her husband. She and did the Chipko movement, and the women folk, they not only embraced but they also tied turbans in some places, and this was a entire these women, they were chanting the songs that was the folk songs, and the songs, folk songs that were made by poet Ghansham Ratori, as well as chants from Bhagavad Gita. So all these after a recital and all, the lumbermen, they also realized that okay, we are not going to get any lumber, so they returned. So in this process, the lumbermen were getting ousted from all the villages, and so later on, a committee was set up by the central government to undermine the effect that this commercial lumbering will have on this environment of Garwal region. And during this time, the Mahila Mandal, they also made food marches along with Sundari Lal Bahuguna, and these women folk, they garnered support of fellow women villagers, and they were able to make the women folk in the other villages realize the real danger of commercial lumbering. So, so at last, in 1980, the Forest Commission Act came, and Indira Gandhi, at behest of Sundari Lal Bahuguna, Indira Gandhi, at the behest of Sundari Lal Bahuguna, she passed this law in 1980, where ban was made on the commercial lodging for 15 years. And this is a great success. And in fact, Chipko movement has been a protagonist in this type of any future type of movement. Especially in nowadays, very recent 2017, a stretch of land along the Jashore Road, that is in 24 Parganas of West Bengal, it was the stretch of canopy was to be removed for increasing the broadening the road. But then the same type of activity, that is embracing the tree and in order to protect it, this was observed, and so in this way the local population was able to save 4,000 trees. So we see that after 5 long years, the women folk as well as the conservationists in the Garwal region, they were able to protect their forested hill slopes from the commercial lumbering. And in fact, after the stop of commercial lumbering, now they have regrown the forest, and it is lush, and the forest in this region are protected. There has been an increase in both flora and fauna in this region. So after the success of Chipko movement, Bahuguna, Sundari Lal Bahuguna, he pioneered another campaign, that is a dam was to be built in Tehri River, and we know that in case of any dam, the downstream region gets inundated, and the people that are living in the downstream region, they has to be relocated. And especially in the hilly region, if the downstream gets inundated, there is actually loss of flora and fauna, because in this Himalayan region, it is rich in flora and fauna, and it is very moist. So naturally it is rich in flora and fauna, and if there is a dam, there will be a loss of lot of flora and fauna in the downstream region. And at the same time, due to global warming, Himalayan glaciers, we know that they are receding. And Sundarilal Bahuguna was very much aware of this fact, and he, in fact, he warned the other environmentalists about this, and he said that in this way, if the glacier is going to recede, in 100 years, our holy rivers will disappear. So after Chipko movement, this was the Tehri Dam movement, which got attention of Sundarilal Bahuguna. So that was all about Chipko movement, which took inspiration from Vishnoi movement, which occurred many years back during that is in the 70s, 1730. So this is a similar type of movement, the Bishnoi movement, and in fact, this embracing the tree strategy was inspired from this Bishnoi movement, and it was used by the Chipko movement also. So if in case you don't know about the Vishnoi movement, you can go to the description. I have put the link in the description, and I will be making more such videos on such ecological movement that helped in preserving the natural forest and pristine forest, whatever left in India. We know that already there is much denudation, degradation, but in the tribal region in India, especially along the Western Ghat, along the Chota Nagpur plateau, they have got forests, and many this environment saving movement has helped in protecting these forests from degradation. So I'll be making videos on that also. And if you have any queries regarding any topic, or you want me to make any new videos, you can write it in the comment section. And if you like this video, please do share it with your friends, and do subscribe, because your subscription, it encourages me to make more such videos. Thanks for watching this video.